Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest. And today I'm going to check out from Physicians Formula the Butter Believe It Foundation and Concealer. Retails for $11.99 for 1 fluid ounce or 30 mils of product. Comes in 5 different shades. Have you guys noticed Ulta just this past year carries fewer and fewer of shades, and surprise, the ones they leave out are the deep tones. But 4 shades, the 4 lightest shades are available on Ulta's website. I've got the second lightest shade, which is called Fair to Light. Probably going to be a little too dark for me, I'm guessing, but the fair shade, the lightest shade, is a very yellow undertone, which I generally can't pull off, so that's why I picked this one, and let's see what they say. Indulge in this ultra-luxurious foundation plus concealer infused with a powerful blend of I can't say that word, butter, and 2 more kinds of butter, from the lush, nutrient-rich Amazon. The Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Foundation and Concealer has an incredibly creamy texture that melts onto the skin, leaving a natural radiant glow, while long-wearing weightless formula provides buildable coverage. It's getting 3.1 out of 5 stars. Only has 11 reviews at this point because it's a pretty new product as I'm checking it out now. Glycerin is pretty high up toward the top of the ingredients. It's dimethicone based, it appears to be. Fragrance is pretty high up in the ingredients, right in the middle. There's a bunch of fruit extracts in here. We might have some hyaluronic acid toward the end of the list. You know, it always strikes me as odd that their ingredients aren't always super great, but they have physicians, like the word physicians in the name, which would make you imply that, like, doctors of some kind were involved in this. I don't know. The lighting in here is going to be whack because it keeps getting bright and then dark and then bright and then dark. Anyhow, I also have the putty primer to try with it that they came out with. The packaging is gorgeous. I question, do we really need another putty primer in our lives at this point? I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe this is the one of my dreams. But let's take a look at this Fair to Light shade swatched against a few others in my collection. You know what time it is. On Fridays, we swatch. First up is today's foundation from Physicians Formula, Butter Believe It Foundation in shade Fair to Light. Second, I've got also from Physicians Formula, the Natural Defense Foundation in shade Fair. Third up is the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream in shade 21. Very similar to the undertone of the CYO Life Proof in 101. Fourth is the NYX Born to Glow in Light Ivory. And last, I've got Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy in shade Shell Ivory. And we have a cat who's about to walk her giant face right into the screen. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 46-year-old face. I'm going to do my primer on camera so that you guys can see the putty primer here. This is the Butter Believe It putty primer. Oh, it's so satisfying to look at a nice, clean, untouched putty. Now, it doesn't come with any kind of like scraper or spoon or anything, but back in the comments many moons ago, you guys recommended guitar picks back when I had the Tatcha primer, which I still have it, I still use it. But I keep a pack of guitar picks on my vanity for putty primers because it's so much easier. I lose those little things. If it came with a thing, I would lose it anyway. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of the putty primer. So far appears to be just like both the e.l.f. and the Tatcha. I have compared those two side by side and found that the e.l.f. was wonderful, and this smells like coconuts, holy cow. And it is making my skincare pill up. It's oily, so as soon as you start blending it out, it's not like the other putty primers at all. It turns into like an oil, sort of a, it really does want to melt into, this is pilling like insanely. I've got pilling all over my hands. That's not gonna work. I wear skincare every single day under my makeup, so yeah, it melts into an oil type of a consistency as opposed to like the e.l.f. and the Tatcha. They sort of, they don't melt down, they do like make a sort of silk canvas, like a, not a barrier, but Yeah, this is not gonna work. Nope, nope, nope. Let's get rid of this off of my face. I think if you don't have skincare underneath, but you should always have at least sunscreen underneath, maybe it'll be okay. I did my skincare 2 hours ago, so it's had plenty of time to soak into my skin. All right, that's all gone now. Let's redo priming. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I'm gonna use my Good Molecules silicone-free priming moisturizer. No pilling whatsoever. The last thing on my face, I'm not going out, so I'm not gonna bother to reapply, but was sunscreen. So sometimes I find that foundations and primers react to whatever kind of sunscreen, although it was a chemical sunscreen, and those usually don't cause a reaction in terms of pilling. I find mineral sunscreens sometimes don't wear as well under makeup for me, and that's why I don't mind chemical sunscreens, because scientifically I don't mind them either. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how they work. Go watch some sunscreen myth videos on Lab Muffin Beauty Science if you want some clarification on there, but yeah, we're gonna stick with the Good Molecules. I will go in on one side of my face with a dampened sponge. Pretty sure this is one of the AOA Studios sponges. The other side I've got my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. We'll see if there is a preference one way or the other. This definitely has that signature coconut scent that everything Physicians Formula seems to have. It is quite strong. I do not have a sensitive nose, so when I smell something, that means it's pretty scented, which makes sense considering how high up fragrance is on the ingredient list. With the sponge, this blends out nicely. I'm catching a little bit of the pilling that I think is from the primer. I don't think it's the foundation pilling up, but I am concerned that a whole lot seems to be sinking into the sponge. So it's not giving a ton of coverage, although I will say, like, if I was going for a no makeup look, I do like how this looks on the skin in this very light coverage state. It's balancing redness just a little bit, and it's pretty skin-like. It's clinging a teeny tiny bit to some dry skin that I've got, but barely at all. Really, I can only see it in the 10x up close. But that finish is all right. Let's try the brush side. Yeah, the pilling was definitely from the primer because I'm not getting any pilling whatsoever on the side of my face that I didn't have the putty primer on, so that was just leftover from the putty primer. I'm a little bit torn on application method because I do think you get more full coverage with the brush, but I do like, it looks a little more heavy on like the side of my nose here with the brush, where I really like the natural look of the sponge. Let's try and build up the sponge side just a little bit. That's about all I've got left on here. I think I'm gonna do just a tiny bit. They called it buildable. I'm gonna try to build, but with the sponge, and I'm gonna try to even it out with the sponge with just a little more product. Okay, so this does build upon itself very nicely. The sponge side now looks as even in coverage as the brush side, though when you build it up, it just looks a little bit more heavy than it does with, you know, it's not quite as seamless. However, the coverage does improve, so my sunspots are almost hidden. So I think you can get to a nice solid medium with not too much product, just building up a second layer on the areas where you need it. It's a little heavy looking, especially around my nose. I do think this shade is going to be okay. It looks darker in the bottle. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one. It's clinging just a little bit to dry skin that I've got around my nose and on my mouth. It's clinging on my upper lip, I should say. It's clinging in a way that is probably going to look like a hot mess later. I've seen this enough times. It just kind of clings in a dry sort of a way, but I think it is doing a nice job at smoothing texture. It's doing a little tiny bit to smooth out pores, and the Good Molecules primer is not necessarily pore smoothing, so I think it is filling in pores. The foundation is smoothing them just a bit, which is nice. It looks fine on the texture between my eyebrows, my forehead. You know, when I was applying this, I almost commented that I really liked how it looked on my forehead, but as it dried down, it kind of lost a little bit of the beautiful, it had this like beautiful sort of dewy sheen to it. It's still got a little bit of that. It looks okay. It looks okay on my forehead. I'm not complaining. It's just not, the dry down isn't as pretty as it was when it was first applied. Now they do say that this is concealer as well. So should we try to use it as concealer today? I'm not sure if I'm setting this up to be a hot mess. Oh, why not? Why not, you guys? Like, hot mess is my middle name lately. We had such a good start to the year with some amazing new foundations. And then, I don't know what happened. If I had to predict right off the bat, I would say we're heading to a mixed bag on this one. That's what I feel. That's what I'm feeling right out of the gate. Let's get all of my little sayings all in one little time frame here. This does have enough coverage to be like a medium coverage concealer. I'll give it that. But it's doing that same thing. When you apply it, it looks and feels really smooth and hydrating and beautiful. But the dry down isn't quite as beautiful. The dry down is a little dry. When you apply it, if it stayed that beautiful, like, hydrated look, we're going to see on this one. We're going to see. I feel like it's already accentuating the lines because the way it's drying down is just kind of freezing them into place instead of smoothing them into place, if that makes any sense. It's also kind of accentuating my crow's feet, which I don't really have crow's feet yet, unless I'm smiling, of course. But like when it's drying down, it's kind of drying where those wrinkles are. They're movement lines at this point. They're not quite wrinkles. They're almost wrinkles. I don't know about this. Let's zoom in and take a look at this as a concealer. I just feel like it froze some of my deeper lines into place. Instead of smoothing over them, I'm like confronted with their very obvious existence. And I prefer a smoothing under eye concealer. It does have a good amount of coverage. I would call it light medium, maybe approaching medium, but the dry down is just a little too dry, I think, for how dry my under eyes are. I have pretty dry skin. I have pretty dry under eyes. I'm going to try to build up coverage just a tiny bit in the darkest spot here. Yeah, this one's it's going to be a little too dry to use as a concealer on me, I think. We will see how it goes. Let's check the time. Where's my phone? It is 12:56. Let me put the rest of my face on. I will be right back. Okay, we are back. I did not have to set this foundation with powder, which I think is good. However, having not set it with powder, it's been settling into my chin lines, and initially it had settled into my forehead lines and my smile lines. I've been tapping it out 4 times at least now on my chin line, but it seems to have stopped settling into my lesser lines, but the deepest lines it's still settling, so maybe having powder would prevent that. But it did set down very nicely, and I don't think I had any trouble blending on top of it, so I think that went well. I did have to tap it out of the lines in using it as concealer as well, but I think once I got excess product out of there, it seems to be staying put so far. So, gosh, is this dark? Like, it's so, this lighting, then I have this thing. All right, let's just keep the Simple Human on. Hopefully you guys can see something. So, Let's talk about the rest of my face. I'm trying out a bunch of new stuff, a handful of things anyway. Some of my usual suspects. I've been in a contouring mood again. My NYX Sweet Cheeks, this is actually blush, but the shade So Taupe is a wonderful bronzer for fair skin. I did use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in Fair. My blush, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, it is the Clarence Jolie blush in Cheeky Baby. And I'm trying out a new highlight. It's gorgeous packaging from Catrice, the More Than Glow highlighter, and I need to show you like what the engraving on it looks like. It's so pretty. Like, I love this it's just beautiful in the pan. It took a lot of buffing to make it not look chalky. And I didn't think it was going to be chalky at all based on how it looks in the pan. But it buffed out fine. You know, I think it's pretty now. It took a bit of work, and I still think on my texture, it still looks a little bit chalky. Like there's a pinkish white tone to the undertone of this that I think is catching texture. So if you don't have textured skin, like this side of my face, I think looks a lot more smooth and glowy, but it doesn't come together in a sheen as well on textured skin. So this side I still think looks a little chalky. So I think that's just a function of me having textured skin on this side of my face. So take that for what it's worth. Beautiful tone though. I think it's a very pretty highlight and very inexpensive. So I'd grab it if you like highlight. It's blingy. I mean, but you know me. I love me a blingy highlight. My eyes are the Alter Ego Canyon palette, which is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. The members only video for this month was a tutorial on an eye look very similar to this. So that is what I've got going on my eyes. I'm trying out a new mascara. Love the packaging. It is Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High. Super pretty. This is all raised lettering. Really pretty packaging. And I wouldn't normally think I would like a mascara like this because it's a pokey kind of wand. And you know me, you guys. I will just injure myself. That's the main thing. But let me talk about this one a little bit. I was thinking it was going to give a ton of length because of the name Sky High, and I don't think it gives a ton of length on me, but it's doing something that I don't think any other mascara I have does. And that is, it's probably the most wispy of all of the mascaras I've got. It has separated every little lash, and it's a really pretty effect. So, and I am that person that has a dozen different mascaras, and I'll be like, I want that one for when I want to do like a 60s glam look, and I want that one for when I want to do like a goth look, and I want that one for when I do a smoky eye, and I want that one for no makeup. Like, I'm that person. So this, we're going to hang on to this, and we're going to keep on trying this one out because I think there's a look that this mascara is really good for, and it's really pretty. It's pretty. I'm okay. And my lip, I ended up doing one that is not new, so I'm not wearing this, but I bought, this is the L'Oreal, oh, what is the name of it? The shade is Be Determined, but it's one of their new, can I read it? Lip color, rouge, that's not really descriptive. That's Caution Flammable. I don't know what this line is called, but I bought it thinking, ooh, it's new. And then I got it home and I thought, I think I already have this in my giant unorganized batch of lip color. So I didn't put this one on. I don't know why I'm telling you this story. I did end up picking, you know, I love these bullet packaging with the new, these are the moisturizing Petal Perfect Pout lipsticks from Flower Beauty. And the one I ended up wearing is, heaven help me, was it Buttercup? What did I put on? Which one did I wear? No, I don't think it was Buttercup. I think it was this one. Was it this one? Yes, it was. Hold on, you guys. Blush Rose. Wow. Ooh, it's been a day. I wanted to pull, so this Blush Rose kind of matches that Desert Moon, the shade that I've got on like 2/3 of my lid. And you know I prefer to pull cool toned on just about everything. So I wanted to pull that shade out of the eye look and kind of cool the whole thing down a bit. That's why I went with this one. Right, Ziva? Right, Ziva? Oh, our construction guy's back? I don't know. Ziva, say hi to your fans. Say hi to your fans. They love you. They love you so much. So distracted. So I think that is everything going on right now. We got construction going on. They dropped off the drywall today, which means it's about to be a hot mess. I don't know how I'm going to film while they're doing drywall in this room because there's going to be drywall dust everywhere and everything's going to be under tarps. So I'm hoping that I won't be interrupting my filming, or at least my video schedule. We may have to do some vlogs and things that don't require me to sit in this room. We'll find out. I had all this time pre-filmed and then they were delayed. So all my pre-filmed videos already went up because we had snow. And today we're supposed to have an ice storm coming in for the next couple days. So I'll try to get a daylight check-in before the ice storm happens. But that's where we're at. That is the story of my life right now. It's gonna be an interesting few weeks coming up. I got to do some grading this afternoon. I need to order some flooring and some ceiling fans. I need to do my nails because we naked right now. And that's gonna be my day. So I will come back in a bit with a daylight check-in and then I will come back tonight, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, it's been about 4 hours and I'm getting a look at this for the first time, just as you are. Here we are. I don't see any major issues except that I do feel like, and I suspected this might happen the way it was doing it with my under eyes, like it kind of freezes your lines in place so they seem quite visible. Like I think my smile lines and my forehead lines look a little bit frozen in place. I'd rather them be smoothed over, but I don't see any major problems so far. Maybe editing Shelly will see more because I'm just looking in the camera as it is right now. But color match, I think, is actually not bad. I think color-wise we're okay. It's probably as dark as I could go for winter, but I think it's all right. So that's where we are. Halfway through, and let's see how it holds up, and I'll be back tonight. 12:21 a.m. I believe that puts us right around approaching the 12-hour mark. Let's take a look at how the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Foundation held up. I am happy to report that actually I think it held up really, really well. I did have to blow my nose a couple of times today, so I am missing some coverage on my nose, but let's talk about comfort level. It's starting to feel just the tiniest bit dry and dehydrated at this point, but we are 12 hours-ish into this day, so that's not really unusual. I'm in a very dry, low humidity climate right now. It's winter, it's cold, and I think it's holding up really, really well. Let's zoom in and take a look. So ignore what's blatantly missing from blowing my nose. You can tell. But where I feared that it was going to cake up around my nose, it really didn't. You can still see the edges of some of that dry skin that I've got going on, but it's really not any worse than it started out. My mouth, same thing. I have a little bit of dry skin going on, but it's really not bad. It's not doing any settling into my smile lines at this point. It settled a little bit into my deepest chin line, but it stopped settling into other lines. The blush bronzer highlight is still very well intact. It looks pretty doggone fresh, if you ask me. The under eye area looks pretty good. You know, it doesn't look great. It's not any better than it was in terms of smoothing lines, but it didn't get worse. No texture issues between my eyebrows. My forehead looks fine. I feel like, generally speaking, it looks really pretty doggone good for a day full of wear. I was going to tell you guys something, and I'm trying to remember what the heck it was. I'm looking at my face trying to make myself remember. I don't remember what I was going to say. Now I'm choking on my own saliva. this is a day. Pretty good. It's all right. A little bit drying. Just a little bit. Just a little bit at this point. But I did almost walk out of here and forget to film this. So. Sorry, I'm joking. Okay, if I had to give a grade to the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It, I'm going to give this foundation a B. It's a little above average. It wears well. I wish it was a little bit less drying. I would call it just a smidge drying, but then again, we're at a very challenging time of the year, so not bad. I think if you're dry-skinned, it's worth giving it a go. It is potentially going to work. It did a little bit of settling into lines early, so it was a little bit high maintenance to start out. Had to tap them out, but I didn't have to set this with powder, which I think is really good if you are trying to avoid any additional dryness to your skin. After I tapped out the settling into lines, it stopped, so that's what's keeping it out of the A range. The fact that it's a little bit high maintenance to get going, but I'm okay with this. I'm all right. I think it wore really well, and I think the wear time is pretty good. This stuff, on the other hand, I'll try it again, but if it's supposed to melt into that oil, I can't imagine it not pilling up with my skincare underneath. Like, that's just a combination for disaster. It's pretty packaging, though. We'll find out. We'll see. If you don't have a full skincare regimen underneath your makeup, it might actually be a really nice hydrating option. I don't know. I didn't really get to try it because it pilled up like a mofo. There you have it. Another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you had a good time with this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.